Portuguese League predictions, Liga Portugal, and Eredivisie Dutch League predictions. We're about to go bold. Let us know down below your thoughts. How are you feeling with this video, Breton?
Well, the club season is coming in hot, and I am feeling jazzed up, man. I think there are some great off-season moves. I think there are some great potentials. But listen, best laid plans, right? It's all well and good until the games start. And if you're telling me that the Super Cup that just played, right, between Sporting and Porto is a precursor to what we can expect this season in the Liga Portugal, I am in. I'm hooked. I'm ready to go because it's going to be competitive, isn't it?
Absolutely, Breton. The Super Cup game of Porto Sporting was epic. Sporting was leading 3-0. And they lost 4-3. Yes, for Sporting fans, it wasn't the best, but the tenacity, the ruthless, the culture of Porto was in full effect. And honestly, new manager Vitor Bruno, that was the assistant coach of Sérgio Conceição in his first game, he won a title. Yep. So that's a pretty good start for a manager just like him. But yes, Liga Portugal. And for more predictions videos like this video, people, let's put a like goal of 100 likes because there's not a lot of videos with Eredivisie and Liga Portugal predictions. Okay, people? So show us the support and go bold in the comment section too. It's a huge help for us here at FC Wonder Kid. But you started well with the Super Cup. That was insane. Fourth place here in Liga Portugal. Gonna start my predictions in saying my fourth place is Sporting Clube Braga. No surprise, but listeners, pay attention to this team playing football because Daniel Sousa is a 39-year-old young manager that is gonna put Braga playing extremely good football. Expect to see players like Roger Fernandes, Salazar, players that will make the difference in our league and will shine. Okay, people? Big season ahead for Sporting Clube Braga, playing good football in their team. Wanted to mention it.
Well, I don't think I can disagree with that at all. I'm just immensely excited about Roger Fernandes and what he can bring to the table once again this season. Obviously, he broke out last season, but I think it's going to be more expected of him this season. And at 18 years old, the world is his oyster, as they say. But beyond, and he extended. So, but beyond that, I think fourth place, you're right, is a lock. I'm really having trouble with this top three, though. I'm not going to say that the Super Cup maybe changed some things, but what I am going to say is it is pretty shocking to me that Sporting has the youngest team in the league. They have an average age of under 23 years old all across the roster. And Benfica is the third youngest team in the league. So
and then
I don't know if that's different from past years,
Edu,
but yeah.
And playing at the back, like then in the Super Cup, Gonçalo Inácio, De Basti, and Eduardo Quaresma, all really good ball playing center backs, but individual mistakes was very costly. I'm not gonna be like Sporting fans already saying De Basti is a bad signing, this, that, and the other thing. But it was definitely not a good start. Definitely not a good start.
I think Porto is probably one of the youngest teams too. If you just have to do it ex Pep, right? You can't do it with Pep in the computation because he's playing like a 40. Well, he's 41, right? 42.
He's not going to be there
but
anymore.
Come on, he's 22. No, I know. I'm kidding. But their average age is 25. But it is really interesting to me that Sporting so far has held on to Gonçalo Inácio, has held on to Ousmane Diomande, has held on to Gyökeres, has held on to Ruben Amorim. And I think Zeno De Bast will come good. I think he'll be fine. I think he needs some time. But obviously when you're up 3-0, you expect to be more than fine. And to have 4 goals scored against you unannounced, that's pretty bad. So get it out of the way, and you'll be fine. But Sporting, as this window progresses, I guess my only real worry about Sporting repeating, right? My only real worry is that as this transfer window progresses, as it heats up, what does, say, a unscheduled big bid coming in for any one of those aforementioned players do for the chemistry of this squad moving forward? And that is more apparent for Sporting than it is potentially for the other two teams in Porto and in Benfica. Although Benfica is dealing now with the potential aftermath of a João Neves sale. So there's a lot a lot of transfer turnover, a lot of roster turnover that's going to be happening here. I think depth is going to be a massive
there's one name,
part
Bretson.
of who winds up in the top 3.
But there's one name at Porto that has the same importance that Victor Gyökeres has at Sporting, and that name's Diogo Costa. If Diogo Costa leaves Porto, there's no player that can replace him at that level. A player that knows the club, a player that loves the club. He's played since the youth league. He's a starter for the Portuguese national team. Diogo Costa is a leader. And I hope André Villas-Boas, which André Villas-Boas in 3 months as a president of Porto, he's won 2 titles. 2 titles. Taça de Portugal and now the Super Cup. And I'm sure he knows the importance of Diogo Costa. That is the true captain of this team. With Pep out, Diogo Costa is the leader. And I think Porto, they can sell Diogo Costa, yes, for more than 50 million this season, but I think the next season they can sell him also for that price tag. And let's not forget, there's a Club World Cup in the summer. So his value can definitely rise if Porto have a successful Club World Cup. But yes, going with what you said, the top 3 of the Portuguese league is going to be extremely tight. I think tighter than the Eredivisie because the teams are more well-balanced. But I'm going to put Porto in 3rd because there's a rebuild happening. I think Porto this summer should sell Chico Conceição, not because of the talent, but because his dad was the former manager, okay? And I hope he has the intention to succeed at Porto. But come on, it must be a bit awkward if the president replaces with the assistant coach of your dad. It must be awkward. And Conceição didn't like that, obviously.
No.
So the whole situation in the back should be awkward. But yes, Porto, I think, will sell Chico. Galeno to Juve is being very talked. Evan Nilsson didn't play in the Super Cup. Let's see if they can sell him. And Pepe. That Pepe is an extremely talented player that can play at fullback, can play at winger, and I think he will leave Porto too. But there's positives. Rodrigo Mora, Gonçalo Souza, Gabriel Braz, wonder kids that they're having a real ascension in this team. But what I wanted to mention was Nico Gonzalez. Nico Gonzalez is going to be his big season for Porto now. He's playing in the attacking mid spots, and he has 5 goals in his last 5 games. I don't remember Nico Gonzalez since he left Barca being spoken so highly for a team. So I'm very excited to see what will happen with Porto, and I hope Porto signs Yasser Aspirilla, the biggest Colombian talent. Okay, people? That just gives me vibes of James Rodriguez in the past. Just gives me those vibes.
And Watford, I believe, is ready to offload him, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a hell of a signing if they could do it. But I'm with you. I can't see my way past this Porto defense. I don't think it's that great. And Nico Gonzalez, while he's come out, and he's been a whole lot more of an attacking presence than anyone had expected him to be. There's still question marks kind of all over this place. But like you said, there's a
David Carmo.
There's an esteem, there's a esprit, right? There's a spirit about Porto that will keep them afloat until some of these young guys really start to break out, right? Whether it's Martin Fernandez or whoever, I think there will be openings kind of all over the place. But I do think Porto might also be there's a good chance. I mean, Braga is the one that is making more of the signings this offseason, if I'm not mistaken.
True.
Bringing in Eri Mbai, you remember him, like one of the center back wonder kids of Bayern's academy early on. Has, I think, injuries and just slow kind of not linear progression has kind of held him back. But they've also brought in Tiel Helguera, defensive mid, El Ouazani, who I definitely think you're going to know by the end of the season. He'll score quite a few goals for Braga. I honestly have Braga and Porto kind of 3rd and 4th, like by a hair. I think it's down to whether or not Sporting or Benfica wins, which I know is kind of like whatever, kind of expected at this moment. But I'm going to tell you right now, their Sporting's continuity, I think, will be their downfall this season. The fact that they've held their whole core together is going to maybe lead to, I don't know, some sort of internal maybe complacency. Amorim probably won't let that happen. I know you don't know, but that's why I'm going to put Pavlidis might not be Victor Gyökeres for Benfica, but I'm going to tell you he's going to be 5 times better than Artur Cabral.
True.
And Artur Cabral might wind up leaving, but Pavlidis is a goal hunter. He will be there. He will put it in the back of the net if he can be teed up. And Benfica, I think, has the ability to tee him up. I also think that Leandro Barreiro is a borderline bargain basement, beautiful signing that they were brought in. And it's Roger Schmidt has brought in some players that played for kind of lesser known teams in the Bundesliga. Best is another one of them. He was the best of Heidenheim. Heidenheim overperformed last season, and Best he's a flippin' engine that you guys are gonna wind up loving, even if he's not 15-15. Right?
True.
He will be a wonderful squad player for Benfica. It's just whether or not they have the ruthlessness in front of goal that Sporting has. And Pavlidis, how he brings himself into Liga Portugal, how he transitions to Liga Portugal is going to be everything about whether or not Benfica can keep up with Sporting. And I'm going to say it. I think they're going to. I have Benfica 1, Sporting 2. So I'm sorry, I have Sporting at second, which tells you that Benfica is a champion this season.
I agree with what you said with Pavlidis. From what I've seen in preseason with Benfica, he's a pure goal scorer. With AZ Alkmaar, Pavlidis has scored 80 goals and he had 27 assists in 132 matches. He leaves as a legend, AZ Alkmaar, and the MVP of the Eredivisie. But honestly, Bretson, I like the continuity. On my end, my prediction for the Liga Portugal, I put Braga 4th, Porto 3rd, 2nd Benfica, and 1st Sporting, and very tight the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. Honestly, if Porto wins the league, I wouldn't be so surprised because they have that resilience and ruthlessness. Benfica winning the league, I will definitely not be surprised. With Pavlidis now there, Barreiro playing good football. But Sporting, I think we're about to see history. You know how high I put Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim, for me, is the best manager I've ever seen at Sporting. In 4 years, he wins 2 titles. If Ruben Amorim wins 3 titles in 5 years, that is drop the mic moment. I go to a Premier League giant because I've got that talent level. If Arne Slot went to Liverpool, Ruben should go to Chelsea if it doesn't work out for Enzo Maresca. That's the level. Or who knows, Arteta? No, I don't think that will be the case because the foundations are built by Arteta. But yes, the best player in the Portuguese league, I believe, is going to be Victor Gyökeres if he stays. 43 goals, 15 assists. His output is insane. The importance he has is insane. I've never seen such an immediate impact in this league. Maybe I'll see that with Pavlidis. But what Ruben built was insane. But my doubt with Sporting, from what we saw yesterday, is the leadership. Sebastian Coates, an underrated name for a lot of people that don't follow the Portuguese league as much. He was the captain. He was the heartbeat of that defense. In 9 years, he won 8 titles, 2 Portuguese leagues. Coates leaves as a legend, and De Bast yesterday clearly showed to the Sporting fans, in my opinion, that he's not ready to be the center back in the middle. It has to be Ousmane Diomande. So Sporting will be lining up Gonçalo Inácio, Ousmane Diomande, and Zeno De Bast or Eduardo Quaresma in goal. That's a very young defense, and I love to see 3 ball-playing center backs that can play great football with Ruben Amorim. At 39 years old, Ruben too. That is one of those managers. I play the style of play that I've implemented. You play the way that I want you to play. So I am going to be backing that manager. But it's a very interesting exercise because my last thing with Benfica is what's the midfield? What's the midfield of Benfica going to be? Leandro Barreiro, Florentino Luís, Orkun Kokshu at Cam. Will Renato Sanches start? Will Renato Sanches start? Because the best season of Renato Sanches was 2015, 2016. That was 8 years ago. Will we see him?
8 years ago and 25 injuries. I don't know, but I am going to say, as part of a squad, the depth is that's a solid midfield. That's a midfield that could win this league. But you're right. The continuity of Sporting is actually insanely impressive, considering how often these teams get poached of their talent. You've got Champions League ball almost every year ready to go. You've got Sporting with this insane resurgence, right? Winning 2 in the last 3 seasons. Am I right
4?
there? Yep. It's really, really impressive that they've been able to hold on to everybody. It's just in a league where you don't generally see that often, or it's been a while since we've seen that. I'm really intrigued to see whether or not that just leads them to like, is now Sporting considered a Champions League quarterfinal or semifinalist potentially in the future?
If Ruben does that, Erik Ten Hag did that, and he got the big move. If Ruben does that,
true.
Honestly too, it's Erik Ten Hag with Ajax, Frankie de Jong, that was a historic run. If Sporting does the same with Ruben Amorim, Victor Gyökeres will leave for 100 million. And that's the big doubt. Gyökeres doesn't leave Sporting because there's the Champions League confirmation that people want to see. And I understand that. Personally, 43 goals, 15 assists at Sporting. I believe he's going to have the same type of numbers next season, staying at the club. And he is one of the best strikers I've seen in this league. Radamel Falcão, Jackson Martinez, Jonas was also insane. Cardoso was also insane. But Gyökeres will be forever remembered as one of the best strikers in the history of Sporting. Manuel Fernandes também. Rest in peace. Yeah,
okay? what a debut season for sure.
And Pot.
Is there any Pot.
76 goals for Sporting in 4 years.
I know. One of the most shocking stay puts, right? One of the most shocking put. I think 15 different times has been potentially off to Never Neverland, off to a different place. And every time, I mean, he's at his center, he's at his home. So that expectation for that to happen. So I feel like the next step would be, to make a pretty solid, great run in the Champions League. I just want them to have a better outcome than the future or the next few years of that Ten Hag Ajax squad. Better than the Van de Beeks, better than the De Ligs. Obviously, Frankie de Jong, you could make the argument he's had a pretty good career beyond that.
Yes,
but here's expecting if either Benfica or Sporting make that run deep, that they do have better futures than those three did than Ajax. But listen, I love some of the other names here that I'm seeing. More specifically, Bartolomeu Vidovic, I'm sorry, left back for Braga. The more I look at what Braga's doing, I don't know who their general manager is. I don't know who's doing this, I'm sure. But I love what they're doing. I absolutely love what they're doing. Vidovic was one of the best in the Extraclasa by far. And I think if you can get him to translate to Liga Portugal, part of me really does want to put Braga in third right now. Maybe third.
It can
above
happen.
Porto, because I love, but all these have to hit. And that's the interesting thing.
And
here.
wonder kids in the Portuguese league, there's so many. Gustavo Sá, Giovanni Kenda that had a goal against Porto in the Super Cup. He's gonna have a big season. Prestiani, I believe, will be a starter for Benfica in the following season. That's very exciting. Very exciting to watch. Esugu could have a good season, but I think to start ahead of Morit and Martin Huilman, that will be very, very hard. I'd like to see a loan with Dario Esugu because Matheus Fernandes, I think, will be ahead of him. And he's also a good wonder kid that you guys must watch. But last thing on Portuguese League, Porto, by winning the Super Cup, became the Portuguese League. Porto, by winning the Super Cup, became the team with most titles in Portugal. Okay, Sporting has 56, Benfica 85, and Porto has 86. So this is a big statement by Porto of André Villas-Boas. And let's see what's going to happen. Who will leave? Let us know down below your thoughts. Do you agree with our predictions until now with the Portuguese League? And last thing, Frederic Orsens. If you don't follow the Portuguese League, just follow this name with Frederic Orsens, one of the most underrated players in football. I'll go bold and say that. He came as a midfielder. Now he plays at the left winger. And Frederic Orsens is going to be a terrific left side because Orsens will compensate best just going crazy, scoring goals, scoring free kicks, just going bold because we know he can score those goals. But yes, if you clicked on this video for Eredivisie, now's the time. Bretson, how are you feeling with the top three? Hard. It's hard.
I mean, I feel like the top two is PSV Feyenoord again. I feel like the top two is there. I'm not going to tell you who just yet. But let's start a little bit further down the way here. Because I'm not... The one thing... The biggest question mark about the Eredivisie is I know Ajax has taken the right next step in bringing in Francesco Farioli, a wonderful, more defensive coach in my opinion, but did wonders with Nice. And I'm just so far I'm not seeing what the vision is here. They've retained a lot of their players. They've brought nobody in. Their most consequential signing is a 16-year-old, Jorthi Mokio,
But they spent
one of
a
the
lot
best
last
wonder kids
summer.
in the whole pro league. They did spend a whole lot on players who I don't really value. I don't see where Ajax gets in the top 4 here. I really don't. I really don't. That's why I have Ajax 4th. I don't have them 3rd. And I think a lot of it, you can look at literally who they've offloaded this offseason. 2 players that should have been hits for them that they missed completely on. I mean, whiffed due to incompetence currently at Ajax Amsterdam. And that is who? Chico Conceição, going back to Porto, going on to have a wonderful, wonderful performance for Portugal at the Euros. Okay? Then you have George Mikitadze, who went to Metz, who scored a bunch of goals for them, basically saved them from relegation, and he goes and he does what? The same dang thing, impresses at the Euros for Georgia, a Georgian hero through and through, and neither of them could see the dumpster fire of a field for Ajax last season. We need to remember that, yes, they did play better to their ability near the end of the season, but my gosh, they were in the relegation zone for like a lot longer than anybody would have expected. Not much has changed, Alex, except there's a reliance again on a back line that is young. Jorel Hato, still one of the best youngsters in the entire Eredivisie, probably next in line to get snapped up. But when you look at them, when you look at Ajax compared to PSV, when you look at Ajax compared to Feyenoord, who have been drained, I don't see a team that can threaten them, period.
I agree.
At all.
But I think the manager of Ajax is better than the new manager now of Feyenoord. And let's be honest,
Fair enough.
Nice was known as a defensive team. They were the best defense in Ligue 1 for months. So many months, with Kefri Turam, Dante having big seasons. Maybe that's why I'm being very hopeful with Francesco Farioli. Captain Jordan Henderson, Kenneth Taylor. I think the fullbacks are very talented with Gerald Hato at the left side and Divine Wrench at the right. Maybe I'm being hopeful, but I've got Ajax in second, Breton. Maybe I'm being hopeful. I've got Feyenoord third because I am not so confident with Brian Presk because Spartak Praga. Being honest with you, seeing Spartak Praga play and seeing Nice play, I am more hopeful of Farioli and Eredivisie's impact from what we're going to see than Feyenoord because Arne Slot is a big change, okay, going to Liverpool. And I see signings of Jalen Mitchell that I like for 2.5 million. I think it's one of the biggest bargains of the Eredivisie, okay. What a game he had against Brazil. Costa Rican center back and Julian Carranza. I was expecting Santiago Jimenez to go. So
hasn't gone.
What's going to happen right there? So I've got my doubts on how things with Feyenoord are going. And I think they're going to have not a major downfall, but in my predictions, I have Feyenoord finishing third.
Wow. I mean, but even if they have a little bit of a downfall, they matched what was a ridiculously historic season from PSV Eindhoven last season, right? I mean, I'm more looking at PSV and saying, could they have that downfall, even though they've got continuity? And clearly, I don't like continuity if you looked at our Portuguese predictions, right? Because I've got Sporting falling off the top. But, like, I'm looking at the Feyenoord changes, and they've been able to hold what makes them really, really good, right? And that's Hanko, not gone yet. They've had Thomas Bielen come in and be a very solid center back for them. Gernot Troner's old, injured a lot, but he could still be good. Quentin Timber they've held on to. Jalen Mitchell was a Tico revelation, especially against Brazil in the Copa America. So for them to snap him up right away, hopefully they bring him in. They've held on to Geertruida. They've held on to Hartman. And that's before you even get to Quentin Timber in the midfield. You are absolutely correct in that I don't know what the expectation is moving forward for how many of these front four exactly. What's the expectation for that front six, I should say? And the signing in there is not going to be a signing. Andre Linger, I know, is relatively good, but I'm going to say it right now. This is Anthony Malambo's season. 19 years old. He's come up through their ranks. He is going to be one of the next revelations of Feyenoord Rotterdam. And I believe he's already rewarded us in the Super Cup, which we're not currently watching. But in the Super Cup for the Dutch league, I think Malambo has already scored a goal. So watch Anthony Malambo, watch Givai Zekiel, and watch Quinton Timber. I think by the end of the season, they're going to have a pretty good midfield, but I don't think it's good enough to beat PSV Eindhoven. So I have Feyenoord second. I have Feyenoord second. And by the way, this is coming from somebody who absolutely loves Julian Carranza. When he's healthy, Feyenoord's going to love him. And I'm going to say it. If Carranza, if they were to come in and they were going to simply replace Santi Jimenez, put him on the bench until he gets sold or something, they would not be worse off. Carranza has the ability to score 20-plus goals in the Eredivisie, and I'm going to tell you right now, he's more of a finisher than Jimenez is. He's the type of guy that you put him into a Champions League game or you put him into a Europa League game, he will score those goals that Jimenez was not necessarily able to when they needed it from him.
He was man of the match, though. He managed one of those games for Feyenoord.
He was in one of them, but also, I know. But listen, Feyenoord is good. I think it's PSV's to lose. I think it's PSV's to lose, though.
I agree.
Dude.
I agree.
I absolutely. They are phenomenal through and through. It's just whether or not they can do it again. They've shockingly lost literally next to nobody. They brought in Serginho Dest, who's recovering from an ACL injury, which stinks, but he will slowly get back to health and still be a net positive. I don't think even if Luke de Jong can't... Ryan Flamingo, yep. I don't think Luke de Jong, even if he can't deliver 44 goal involvements again, he's got Ricardo Pepi scoring in preseason, is ready to step in at a moment's notice. Ismail Saibari, we started to see some coming outs of him, some really good play from him. Yeah. He's going to be a revelation this season. Malik Tillman, to bring him in for cheap, 12 million or so. I just think there's enough here for PSV to retain the Eredivisie, but I just don't know how strong any of these teams are going to be in the Champions League this season. It doesn't feel...
There are no big sales with PSVs completely. I agree with you. PSV is my prediction to win the Eredivisie. Last season, 111 goals, 21 suffered, 11 suffered. That is mad, and only one loss. PSV last season, only one loss, and they score 111 goals. And now in the following season, no big sales. Joey Veerman stays. Johan Bakayoko stays. Malik Tillman signed for 13 million. He had 9 goals and 10 assists. What a signing. And this Ryan Flamingo CDM, underrated player. He was at Utrecht. Pay attention because he's going to play great football with Peter Bosz. That I like the fact that there's continuity there. And I think Peter Bosz will be back-to-back Eredivisie champion. Oh my days. But an interesting fact, and we have Portuguese League and Eredivisie predictions in the same video. In back-to-back seasons in the Eredivisie, the MVP of the league went to Benfica. Orkun Kokcu was the MVP last season. No, the 2 seasons ago. Pavlidis was the MVP last season. He went to Benfica. So Benfica is clearly following the pattern of best player in the Eredivisie. They come to us.
Well, you know who the replacement for Pavlidis is at AZ Alkmaar. It is Troy Parrott. Troy Parrott, and he's looked really good in preseason for them. Irishman, former Spurs wonder kid, one that we kind of expected to maybe hit a little bit harder than he has. But he scored goals on loan last season. I forget for which team.
Was it Hull City?
No. He was in the Eredivisie last season. He scored quite a few goals. Excelsior, maybe? I think he was at Excelsior Rotterdam, another Rotterdam club. Or maybe. But he moves to AZ Alkmaar. His job, he is tasked with replacing Vangelis Pavlidis' 20-plus goals. So good luck to him, but he looks really good in the offseason. I think Utrecht is another team that could come together. There is a little bit of a... definitely an American bias going on there because you've got Paxton Aronson on loan there, and you've got Taylor Booth, who some might remember from Bayern Munich, coming through that system there. I think if they stay healthy, they're going to definitely impress this season. But beyond that, I just don't see anybody threatening Feyenoord or PSV at the top. I think it's going to be another two-horse race. And I honestly believe that continuity pays off here in the Eredivisie. But
I'm
we'll
excited
see,
for
man.
Ajax,
We'll see.
though. I'm excited to see what Farioli can do in the midfield. Jordan Henderson and Kenneth Taylor, they can make some proper damage. I'm not saying that they're Tadic, Frankie de Jong type level, but it's a start. It's something that we're going to see, and it's leadership. This is something that a young team of Ajax needs. And just like we say with La Masia, with Barca, the solution for Barca many times is with La Masia. With Ajax, many times their academy is a solution to with the Johan Cruyff. So
it is.
That can be the case.
But listen, Farioli has already appointed as starting goalkeeper, I believe, somebody older than he is. And to have Geronimo Rulli, to have Diant Ramage in your club, and to appoint 40-year-old Remco Pasveer as your starting goalkeeper is not something that I necessarily expected from a young guy like Farioli. But you're absolutely right. I mean, they've got Divine Wrench. They've got Yori Bas. They've got Jorel Hato. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Silvano Vaz. Kenneth Taylor. Keon Fitzjim, we've seen Christian Hlinson, and
Hopefully
Mika Ghost. I mean, those are all academy players. Another name we might see by the end of the season, Alex, Julian Rykhoff. Remember him from Borussia Dortmund?
Yes.
Worked his way up there? Yeah. He is in the mix. He is part of the senior squad this season, 19 years old. I think he could do some damage for them, but like their only signing so far beyond Jorthi Mokio has been to bring back Bertrand Traore.
For free, which can be can be seen as a good deal. Very interesting. But as Alkmaar Twint, we might have some listeners that they put as Alkmaar and Twint as top in Eredivisie. But let us know down below your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree with our league predictions? What's the next league that you like to see us doing? La Liga, Premier League, Ligue 1, or Serie A? I think Serie A will have a surprise this season.
It's going to be so fun.
Like this video. Let's get to the like goal of 100 likes, people. Okay, these predictions, we love to do them, but it takes time and work, but you guys deserve it. Thank you so much for listening until now, people, and thank you for going bold here at FC Wonderkid.